Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Mejia, and today I will be talking about the fire on board the USS Forrestal back in 1967. The fire on board the USS Forrestal uh, was one of the worst accidents caused by humans in U.S. naval history. Now, in July of 1967, a fire broke out on board the USS Forrestal. Uh, in which an electrical anomaly discharged a Zuni rocket, which flew across the flight deck and created or triggered a chain reaction of explosions. Now, uh, the the explosions uh, caused the death of 134 sailors and 161 were injured. Uh, the USS Forrestal was in operations, in combat operations in the Gulf of Tonkin during the Vietnam War. Now, a little fact about the USS Forrestal is that Senator John McCain was on board the ship at the time of the fire. Now, one thing that I can tell you about this topic is that I am fascinated by the history of the USS Forrestal, especially because I was thought about it in my time in service on board the ship myself when I was in the Navy. Now, I did research the topic and also learn about it from my time in service. So that's one of the reasons for it. Now, I will be going over three main points today in regards to this. First of all, I will be talking about the USS Forrestal itself, the causes of the fire, and the damage caused to the ship itself. Now, you could say the ship was on top of its class when it first rolled out. Um, it was named uh, after First Secretary of Defense, James Forrestal, and it was commissioned in 1955. Uh, she superseded the World War II aircraft Japanese carrier Shinona, and this was as the largest aircraft carrier by in terms of full load displacement that was able to specifically support jet aircraft. Now, the Forrestal served for nearly 4 decades, and that was in the Atlantic, Mediterranean Sea, Pacific Ocean, and she was commissioned in 1993, where she was made available as a museum. Now, you would think also that as a naval ship ready for war, that it could handle anything, especially a fire that will break out on board the ship itself. Uh, Now, at about local time, 10:50 a.m., July 29, 1967, while preparing for the second strike of the day, a rocket from an aircraft on board the ship fired due to an electrical power surge when it went when it switched from external to internal power. Now, the rocket flew across the flight deck, striking wing-mounted external fuel tank on an awaiting aircraft on the other side. The rocket's warhead safety mechanism prevented the rocket from detonating, but it did tore the tank of the wing and ignited, resulting in jet fuel spraying all over the flight deck, causing instant blaze. Now, within seconds, other fuel tanks on the aircraft overheated and ruptured, releasing more jet fuel, adding fuel to the flame. Now, it began spreading all over the flight deck. The impact of the rocket also dislodged two 1,000-pound bombs onto the deck, and they laid on the pool of flames uh, where it was the plane of or aircraft of Lieutenant Commander at the time, John McCain. The damage control team was assured that they had a 10-minute window to actually extinguish the fire and prevent the bombs from detonating. After only slightly more than 1 minute. Uh, and despite the constant efforts to cool the bombs, uh, the casing of one suddenly split open and began to glow a bright red and detonated seconds later. It only took 1 minute and 36 seconds after the start of the fire. Now, the detonation did destroy John McCain's aircraft and created a crater in the armored flight deck and sprayed burning fuel and bomb fragments on the flight deck and the crew members. Now, John McCain did survive this, but the fire did cause many deaths, like I mentioned earlier, injuries and excessive damage to the ship itself. It caused 134 deaths of the sailors, 161 injuries, and the damage to the ship itself cost about $72 million, which today would equal out to $517 million. And that's not including the aircrafts themselves. Now, 21 aircrafts were damaged due to the fire, explosion, salt water, and were removed from the naval inventory. Now, the fire on board the Forrestal was one of the second fires, or one of the second of 3 serious fires that occurred in the 1960s. The first one being in 1966 on board the USS Oriskany, and that killed 44 sailors, injured 138. And then 1969 on board the USS Enterprise, where 28 people or sailors passed away and 314 were injured. Now, in conclusion, this tragedy might have been prevented, and now the U.S. Navy does use this fire, the Forrestal fire, as a tool and from the lessons learned to train damage control and ammunition safety. The flight deck film entitled Learn or Burn is mandatory for all new firefighter trainees. Now, all new Navy recruits are required to view training video entitled Trial by Fire: A Carrier Fights for Its Life, or for life. And it is produced from the fires and damage control efforts on the fire, with the fire on the ship, which on one end it was unsuccessful and successful, which on one end there was a team fighting the fire with firefighting foam, which was the correct way. On the other hand, another crew was fighting the fire with salt water, which it removed the foam, and what it did, it washed away the burning fuel through the decks and down below into the ship itself, causing more damage and worsening the situation. Now, from my experience in on board a ship, I know that fires and accidents will happen, but one thing for sure is that we need to know, or crew members need to know what to do, because if you're in the middle of the ocean, you can never, or you cannot call 911.